I've got an NBA Hall of Famer with me. Heck, not just an NBA Hall of Famer, one of the 25 greatest players in the history of this game. I know the NBA sheet says 50, but I say 25. Hall of Famer Rick Barry joins me next. We're talking Warriors. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, where our shows are exclusively live. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Rick Barry's handle is the same wherever you go on social media. It's at Rick24Barry. The 24 represents the number hanging up at the rafters of Chase Center, representing your retired number for your greatness, sir. At Rick24Barry. You can follow him there. He's the host of the Rick Barry Show, one of the greatest players to ever play this game. Rick, how are you doing, sir? And what are your thoughts about all this trade talk and all the speculation? What are your thoughts on all that? Does it drive you crazy? Do you like it? Your thoughts?
The same as it was the last time. But these people got nothing better to do with their time than to be able to look at all these trades and figure out what the salary cap bullshit is, and and this, that, and the other thing. And it's just unbelievable to me, because it's just all it is a waste of time talking about things that you don't have any great validity to them necessarily. Mm-hmm. I mean, why? Why would you waste your talk about something freaking meaningful? I mean, why do you want to talk about something that's total and complete speculation? Just like, I'm going to come up with this great idea. And some of the things are just absolutely asinine. I mean, it's just amazing what they do in the world of sports today. Hey, God bless them. Somebody's getting paid to do it. And if somebody's paying you to do it, then by God, go ahead and do it. But yeah, hey, all of a sudden, Kuminga's got a whole different perspective about him now, doesn't he? It's amazing what happens if you actually get minutes and you get to play a little bit and you get a little confidence in your game. He's got his teammates, Draymond talking about, hey, this guy's a stud. He's going to be a star, just like what he thought he would be. Hey, you've heard me say this forever, Cyrus. You can only learn so much sitting and watching.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You gotta get into the game, and you have to have a chance to play. And this used to drive me nuts. And with some coaches, you watch a thing, a guy makes a mistake, he yanks him out of the game. How the hell are you supposed to play basketball if it's a game of mistakes and you make a mistake? So how do you play? You're scared to do anything because, oh my God, if I make a mistake, I'm coming out of the game. I'm not going to get my minutes. Let the guys play through it. Just You know what I did to my guys when I coached?
Oh, you froze on me. Are you there, sir? Oh, no. I lost the Hall of Famer. Hopefully you will unfreeze in just a minute. Oh, boy. Man. Well, hopefully Rick's connection will...
I don't know why I'm that.
You're back. Continue on, sir. Continue on.
This was what? Think about what you're doing. Okay? Just think about what you're doing. Okay? You did something you weren't thinking. You did something foolish. Now, the whole thing is, when I did that, I didn't do it a second time. Then somebody's going to come in the game and take you out of the freaking game because you lost your focus. You didn't do what you should have done. You should have learned from that mistake. Don't duplicate or replicate that mistake. And that's the whole thing. Every sport there is, it's about unforced errors, like they say in tennis and all. Well, it's the same thing here. It's errors. A missed shot is an error. A bad pass is an error. I mean, a foul is an error. Those are all the mistakes that you make in a basketball game, football, same type of things, offsides, whatever it may be. The team that generally makes the fewest number of mistakes in an athletic contest is normally the one that wins, especially in a team situation. So he's getting his chance to play, and to his credit, he's doing a hell of a job. What did he get now? 7 games, 20 points, 20 points. I think it's something like that.
Correct.
And so I'm happy for him. I've always felt, we talked about it when he first came into the league a number of years ago when I watched him in the summer league for the first time. I said, you know what? He has something that I like. He actually can see the floor. He sees the game. He was making some passes to people. He wasn't tunnel vision. And starting to get a little bit of a feel. But the thing is that you have to play more to be able to get a feel for a game that's different than what you were playing on the other level, because it's a step up. There's more required of you. The athletes are all better. They're all faster, stronger, quicker than the guys you play against. You might have played some great people in college, but you haven't played against the kind of guys you're playing against in the NBA. These are the best players in the freaking world. So I'm happy for him. I'm still optimistic, because I'm the eternal optimist. I'm still optimistic that this team will be able to put themselves together. I think they become one of those dangerous teams that I've talked about so often.
Okay.
A team that could conceivably, and maybe they have to do the play-in. I don't know. We'll see. There's plenty of time left. But if they're an 8th seed and I'm number 1 seed, or I'm 2 and I'm playing 7 and they're 7, I'm going to be a little scared about this team with the experience and all that they have. And it's how you're playing going into the playoffs that matters. You could be playing great all along during stuff and all, and then when you get to the playoffs, I mean, you see that happen all the time. And look at the Philadelphia Eagles rolling along. All of a sudden, they were like nothing. They like disappeared. I mean, so this is the type of stuff that can happen in sports. And so I'm optimistic that they'll stay healthy, get together, find rotations that are working for them, the guys that fit well together. I mean, reading now, they think that, that this has helped actually with Kuminga doing his thing, that he and Wiggs are starting to feel each other and playing a little bit better. Hey, these guys, they didn't get to where they are because they don't know how to play. Okay. I mean, seriously. And so everybody goes through bad times. Everybody has a difficult time. Like you say, normally it's a 2-week period that most teams even struggle during the course of a season. It doesn't happen very often that they don't. And players also. I mean, I was told by my coach in college, Bruce Hale, who was a former pro player, great pro player, said, listen, just remember, when you get up there, you're going to probably have 8 to 10 games where things just aren't going to be working well for you. Don't let that, don't let that disrupt you. Don't let that get you down. You'll play through it. But when that's happening, find something else to do to be productive. Don't feel sorry for yourself. If the outside shot's not working, drive to the basket, get to the free throw line, go get an offensive rebound, get out on the fast break, play tougher defense, go get some rebounds. Do something productive when your offensive game, as far as shooting the ball is concerned, isn't working well for you. That's what you have to learn how to do. And that comes with what? Getting a chance to play.
Absolutely. Rick, one of the polarizing players this season has been Andrew Wiggins, who since Draymond Green came back, you talked about Wiggins and Kuminga playing together. Draymond seems to be the glue that's holding that together. Over the last 5 games, Wiggins is finally showing a semblance of his old self. His scoring is up to 18 per game. He's grabbing rebounds. His shooting's up. My biggest concern when he comes is regarding Wiggins is what's going to happen when Moses Moody comes back. You just spoke for a few minutes about Jonathan Kuminga needing reps, and you and I were on the same page for that. I remember, Rick, when we saw Kuminga his rookie year in Summer League, both of us were like, wow, like this kid has a left. He looks big out there. And even though Moody, I don't think has the same ceiling as Kuminga, I think he's going to be a great player. But if Wiggins is there, I don't know if he gets the minutes. What are your thoughts on that? Are you okay with Moody, just sitting there rotting away so we can see?
No, because when he's gotten the chance, he's played well.
Yes, agree.
I mean, so he's shown signs of being a productive player on a fairly consistent basis. A better outside shooter than Kuminga right now, obviously. Doesn't have the same athleticism that Kuminga has, but he's still an athletic player and is still a very nice player for this team for the future. So they have some serious things to decide as to what they want to do. I keep reading and hearing things about that they're out shopping and actually talking to people possibly about Klay. I mean, it'd be a shame for him not to be able to finish his career as a Golden State Warrior with all he's brought to the team and the great player that he has been, and still is a top-notch player. I mean, he's still better than a whole bunch of guys in the league. Still can shoot the hell out of the ball, and he's always been a fairly streaky shooter in some respects. And then when he's on, he's ludicrous. I mean, it's crazy. But I don't see where Moody gets a lot of time when you still have Klay around. I mean, seriously, because to be honest with you, and especially if Kuminga works on his shot, which he should do, okay, and he starts to become, his goal should be to, he says, if I were him, I want to be a 40% 3-point shooter, and I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to grab Klay. I'm going to grab Steph. I'm going to work with them. Look at my shot. See what's happening. Go out and put in thousands of shots and just get to the point where you feel comfortable and have that confidence to knock down that open three or even the challenge threes. Be able to be a 40% guy is what your goal should be. Now, that's exceptional shooting. Okay, don't get me wrong. I mean, 30% is passable. 33 is 50% from twos. So at worst, if you shoot for 40 and you come up short and you get 35, 36 or something, that's still really good shooting.
Yep.
And you can live with that.
Absolutely.
And so if he gets to the point where he's shooting well with his size and all, now you can go, get some, 6'7" athletic guy out there playing the two. Then you still have the three. I mean, because Moody fits into that same area. They got a lot of guys that are fairly similar, and it's hard. And I don't envy Steve having to figure out, who can I play? Who's playing well? How is this going to work? I don't know. Moody might be one of those guys, especially with Kuminga coming on like he is, if they decide they're going to keep Klay and give him an extension. It may very well be that he'd be one of the guys that I would think another team would be very interested in him as a trade.
That's why I keep saying, look, logically speaking, and I don't know if you agree or not, but I feel like if there's going to be if there is an odd piece here, it's Klay. I mean, when you look at his productivity, it's dipped. Defensively is where I really am concerned with Klay's play in this modern era. Is he's getting beat left and right. I don't know what his proper fit is defensively when he plays plays guards defensively. They beat him. When he plays bigs defensively, they're just backing him down and shooting over him. I don't know what the answer is there, but at the same time, like you said, I think a lot of people want Klay to finish his career with the Warriors. That's why I keep looking back to Wiggins as being the piece that you kind of have to move on from. I don't know. That's just me. I got to pay some bills real fast here. And then I got a very interesting question that was just posed in the chat, Rick, that I would love for you to answer. And this is in regards to the lineups we're seeing for the Warriors. First, though, I got to give some love to one of my longtime sponsors. And Rick, you've talked about this in terms of a form of it existing back in your days when you were playing in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and that is PrizePicks. And the premise of PrizePicks is very simple. It's daily fantasy made easy. What that means is that instead of gambling on teams, instead of betting on spreads, you're betting on individuals. And this is where, Rick, if you were playing today, I would be killing it, making a buttload of money with PrizePicks because I'd just be betting more than under every category. Stephen Curry, for example, every time he's listed in PrizePicks, his point total that you got to bet more or less than is usually 29.5, right? You can select rebounds as a statistical figure to, decide more or less than. And Draymond actually has been doing fantastic lately on the rebounding side. And it doesn't have to just be a basketball. It could be football. By the way, Rick, what are your thoughts on the Super Bowl while I have you? I remember the last time the Niners and Chiefs played, you tempered my expectations. I thought much higher of Jimmy Garoppolo than I should have. And you were absolutely right. The Chiefs won that game. Here we are 4 years later. What are your thoughts? Who's going to win the Super Bowl in your humble opinion?
Yeah, well, I think that's why I love these kind of games. It's going to be great because you have two exceptional young quarterbacks, one with amazing success. I mean, just incredible success what Mahomes has done. One of my favorite players to watch play, and with my background in San Francisco and, knowing all the people having.
Oh, Rick froze on us. Well, I'm going to read the script until he comes back. And again, PrizePicks is all about a minimum of 2 players that you select, a maximum of 6 players. And if you get all 6 right, you can win up to 25 times your money. So you can absolutely make a killing there. It's fun. It's easy. You could DM me on Instagram if you ever want tips. I've never had to put money in. It's fun, and I'm winning on this thing. You can too. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. Hopefully we got, oh, there's Rick. I think we got him back. There you go, sir.
I'll pick up where I was basically saying because of
Yeah.
my connection to the Bay Area 49ers, I used to root for, Montana, know all those guys, and it was great to see their success back in those days. But because I'm such a huge Mahomes fan and really just like watching him play so much, and I'm a big fan of Kelsey as well, not because he's dating.
Taylor Swift, yeah.
So I can't lose in this one. So whoever wins. So I'm praying it's a close game. I hope it comes down to the last series, and whoever wins, I could be happy with that. But in my heart, I don't know Purdy as well. I don't know a lot of the guys on the team now and the people that I used to know before. I mean, so it's not like I'm going to be there totally and completely rooting against them. If they play well and they win, I can be live with that because it's the 49ers. But I will be pulling for Mahomes. It's just something special about the guy.
He is absolutely right. He is entering the all-time great conversations. Let's go back to basketball here. In the chat, Traveling or Quiiiz wanted me to ask you a question, which is, what are your thoughts on the fact that Steve Kerr routinely implements 3-point guard lineups? To me, there is a direct correlation between the Warriors' defensive struggles and the fact that Kerr only feels comfortable when he has ball handlers out there. It used to work when you had Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, you had length, you had size, but you don't have that anymore. Now you have Corey Joseph. Now you have Brandon Pajemski. Chris Paul, who's about to come back, 6 feet tall. Gary Payne II, not a point guard, but he's 6'2". The Warriors have a size issue, and for some reason, Kerr doesn't recognize that. What are your thoughts on small ball in the current incarnation?
Well, small ball can work at times, depending upon who the small guys are and who the complementary people are. But you are going to give up something to a team. I was always shocked when I watched with, as the Warriors, not just the Warriors, but the league in itself with copycats, right? So when the little guys, the Spud Webbs and the Muggsy Bogues of the world came in, everybody's trying the little guy to do it. I thought there's not a chance in hell that any team's going to win a championship with one of those guys being their starting point guard, okay? And when they would bring him into the game, the whole thing is you bring him in the game to hold it, disrupt things, get them moving quick, all the stuff they do. Why you didn't abuse him? I remember one time, I think it was might have been Muggsy coming in, and my son Brent was playing on one of the teams he was on, and Muggsy's coming in. Muggsy's guarding my son. My son's 6'7" with a freaking wingspan, reaches higher than I reach. It's ridiculous. Right. Post up, he could do all this stuff. They never posted him. I mean, the first thing I would do when that little guy come in the game, I'd take him and I'd abuse him. Absolutely abuse him. And so the same thing here. If I'm playing and I'm coaching against the Warriors and they got that small lineup, I'm taking their smallest guy because everybody thinks it's a big man. You don't have to be a big man. When I coached in the minor leagues, I would post up a 6'2", 6'3" guys that I had that were absolute beasts in the post. Right. And say, hey, I'm going to post him up, especially if you got a big guy that can shoot the ball a little bit. I mean, my God, why would you do that? But if I'm playing against the Warriors, I'm going to post those guys up. I'm going to make them pay a dear price for putting such a small lineup in the game and try to make them pay that dear price. And the way you do that.
And they are. That's why the Warriors defense is awful. So what do you think is going through Kerr's mind here? I know you don't like criticizing Kerr. I get it. But it could be any coach. If any coach is doing this, what is the rationale? What is the reasoning?
If you're winning, it's good. But if you're not winning, then obviously you got to make a change. I mean, it's what Einstein said, right? I mean,
yes, absolutely.
That's
insanity.
ignorant.
It's ignorant. It's absolutely ignorant. It
makes no damn sense.
And it blows my mind.
Because he wasn't James Bond in that one, so I don't like that.
No. I got all my sound bites back. So
seriously, make a change. You have to change what's happening. Just like a game plan is only good if it's working. You start out and you try to do it. You have to be willing to make changes on the adjustment. I mean, on the move. I mean, if something happens, you have to change it. If something's working, you go for it. That's why I don't understand either. Sometimes the coaches, something's going good for them, and they don't keep milking it until the other team figures out a way to stop it. I mean, you see that happen a lot. I watched that over the years, and that's very hard to fathom as well. Because I don't think a lot of this stuff is not very complicated. It just makes common sense.
Yep. I absolutely am.
It makes no damn sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. I don't get it either. I wish I had an answer for that. When we come back, I want to read to you, Rick, because there was a comment from Steve Kerr that He said midseason trades are exceedingly rare in terms of having a positive impact, in terms of making a difference. I decided to spend 5 minutes looking up midseason trades, and I found 21 of them that resulted in success. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on that. And also the other question, yeah.
That was a great political statement on his part, because that's what the politicians do. They make those.
Let's give some love to another sponsor here. And that is the FanDuel Sportsbook, and FanDuel, the official sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. And look, the Super Bowl is coming up, Rick. I know one person in the chat complained about football talk. Tough doo-doo because the Niners are in the Super Bowl. And the spread right now, Rick, I don't know how much of a gambling person you are, but the 49ers are favored by 2.5 points. If you're a betting man, Rick, do you bet on them? That seems crazy to me that they're favored.
I don't bet on that stuff, okay? Because I learned it's crazy. I'm betting on any sport. I know anything in the world can happen. It's crazy. There are sometimes that you think it's a lock. Like I thought one of the biggest locks of all last year was when Georgia got knocked out of the game from college football, and they were playing Florida State, who had all those players hurt. That there's no way that they weren't going to crush that team, and they definitely embarrassed them. Okay, if I was a betting person, I would have bet on that one big time. So as far as this goes here, who the hell knows? I mean, that's a field goal, right? That's a field goal.
That is a field goal. And
the two of your sponsors involved with betting, how things have changed. David Stern probably rolling over in his grave. He didn't want anything to do with betting. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
To add to that, the Super Bowl's in Vegas. They have pro franchises in Vegas. Even that was an unforgivable thought 30 years ago. Now, you're absolutely right. You talk about what the guys betting on individuals instead of teams and all, which is kind of cool. But I tell you, back when I played, in the 60s and 70s, I go to New York. That they did that all the time back there. Yeah. They would bet how many points they get in one quarter number two would do it by halftime. It was crazy. All the guy, Rick, how you feeling? How you doing? I know what they were wanting to know, and I said, man, I feel miserable. But the thing is, I know what I say to them all the time. I say, guys, how I feel is irrelevant. How I play is what really matters. I have felt so good before a game. I went out and couldn't miss a shot in warm-ups. I couldn't put it in the ocean in the game. It was crazy. Then I go out. I feel absolutely horrible. I can't do anything. And I go out and I can't miss. And I'm playing out of my mind. So that's why I'm telling you, you just never, ever know. Absolutely. But it is fun. And happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Just visit their website, FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. And if you do, you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. It's that simple. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official book.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish up. Here's the official sponsor for you guys, right?
Yeah, they are correct. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
No, I'm just saying. And all I say to the people, look at. It's fun to do it. I don't like losing money or losing at anything, but like going to the racetrack, I take a certain amount of money with me. And if I go there and I come back with any of it, it's a great day, right? You're paying for the entertainment. Here, it's the excitement of what's happening, but don't bet more than you can afford to lose. It's like I'm doing something. I can feel I'm doing a little bit of a blurb here for the investment world, right? Never invest more than you can afford. There's risk in everything that you do. Well, here you're risking, you're doing it, but only as much as you can afford to lose.
Sound advice from Hall of Famer Rick Barry.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
One final segment here, wrapping things up with Hall of Famer Rick Barry. Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. Greg Popovich said something very wise during this year's media day for the San Antonio Spurs, a franchise your son works for, and your son Brent, someone I'm advocating to hopefully take over Steve Kerr's job someday soon. I know might be a reach, but that's what I want. But Greg Popovich said this during media day.
And if Manu Ginobili can come off the bench, anybody can, and I don't want to hear it.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I think that's sound advice. Speaking of sound advice from legendary current future
in the year. Remember, I said, look, these guys need to accept the fact. Do what David Lee did. Do what Andre Iguodala did for the Warriors. These are two veteran players who were.
Oh, and Rick just froze on me for a second. When he unfreezes, hopefully soon, I'm curious to know what Rick's thoughts are on Klay coming off the bench. I for some reason, Steve Kerr is fixated on Klay. Oh, he's back. You're back. Okay, you unfroze. You're back.
I don't know what the heck's going on. But anyway, yeah, that's the thing. Klay should be willing. Wiggins had to do it. He fought through it to do it. Klay should be willing to do it if it can help the team. What difference does it make? Klay, you got more money. You can do whatever you want to do. You can go and get an even bigger boat and sail around and fish and do whatever you want later on in life. Your life is set forever. Okay, you want to be there. Stay as a Warrior. I would go and tell him, hey, look, whatever you need me to do. I did that. My last year, I went in and told him to start Robert Reed. I said, put me on the bench. I said, put me on the bench. I'll come in the game. I'll see what's happening, what's going on. Okay. What I didn't expect was the coach that when the game was close with 3 minutes to go, I'm still sitting on the bench. I thought maybe be smart enough to have me in the game at that time, but that wasn't the case. But anyway, you have to be willing to do that because it's no longer about you. Your life is set. You don't need the money. It's nothing. Come on. How can I help this team? Sit down. What can I do to help this team? You need to put me on the bench. Let's do it. Fight. Boom. And then when you come in the game, go to him. I tried to tell Calvin Murphy when I was there with him. Calvin, why don't you just come in off the bench? Yeah. Coming off the bench, you're going to get to do what you want to do. When you come in, they're going to you. You're going to get shots all the time. And if you're on, boom, feed you like they're feeding the pigeons in Central Park. Come on, do that. And that's what you do. You have guys to come in for certain things to do. And a guy like Klay with his shooting, hey, you run stuff, get him shots, see how he's doing, what's happening, boom. And if not, you come out of the game. Then you go back in and try it again. Play the roles that need to be played to help the team win. That's why you do sometimes as a defensive guy with Peyton Jr. You put him in. Sometimes you need a little defense to get on the guy to try to, not that he's going to shut him down, but he can make him work harder, maybe make it a little bit difficult, screw up their offensive continuity somewhat. Those are the kind of things and decisions you have to kind of make. And so, yeah,
I'm with you.
I'm with 100% on that.
Rick, let me ask you this. Your son, Brent, is currently the GM of the Austin Toreros? The San Antonio G League team.
Yeah.
Let's say Brent someday gets the job as GM of the Warriors. He calls you up, says, Dad, I need help. Should I make a trade this season? Should I stick with what we have and listen to Steve Kerr, who wants to keep this current squad the way it is? What would you tell Brent as sound advice?
Well, first of all, he wouldn't ask me.
Okay, we're
and I don't ever try to tell my kids what they shouldn't do.
Well, let's say hypothetically speaking, he's asking you.
As a parent, I'm just telling you folks there who listen who have kids and stuff, don't do it. Okay. I mean, it's a no-win situation. I'm sorry. Even if it works out, the thing is, God forbid, if you say something and it doesn't work out, then you'll hear it for the rest of your freaking life. That's why
okay. What if you're the GM? Would you make of the Warriors? Do you make a trade? Do you roll with what they have? What would you do?
I wouldn't trade.
You stick with it. Okay, so if you stick with it, do you think this team has a shot at a title still?
Don't know about that, but I do know that they have a chance to be a much better team than what they've showed. I mean, here I had something I wrote it down the other day. Yeah, okay. Do you realize that the Warriors have lost 4, 6, 7, 11 games with 3 points, 5 points or less?
Correct.
11 of their losses, only 1 5 point, only 1 4 point. 4 from 3, 1 from 2, and 4 for 1 point games. I mean, with all this crap that's going on and doing stuff, just take 6 of those 11. Take the 6 and flip their record right now. Put 6 more wins and take 5 losses off of there. Okay, all of a sudden they're still there, and they still have had all these issues and problems and haven't played their best consistently for any length of time, other than right at the start of the season. No, I mean, why you want to screw around me? It's not like they're getting beat badly by teams, and you want to start talking about that as to, oh, well, they lost by this team and everything. Well, I'm going to poke my phone up. Look here's a game. How's this? Tell me, do you think that you ever would have thought that? Here's one of the scores here. Oh yeah, that yesterday's game, I guess it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yesterday's game. You would have thought that. Well, the Cavaliers are playing well, by the way. We got to watch the Cavaliers.
Yes, they are. And your old teammate Clifford Ray was on the show a couple weeks ago saying, someone in the chat was bringing up Jared Allen. Sorry, he's not available. They're not trading him. So yeah, the Cavaliers are playing fantastic ball. Correct. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Would you have thought that the Dallas Mavericks would have lost by 34 points to Minnesota? Okay, so man, they need to make some trades here. Do it. Well, Warriors haven't lost a game that badly all season. So I'm just saying this stuff happens. Another team you got to watch right now is the Suns are starting and playing.
Yes, they are.
Pretty good basketball. I mean, they just crushed the Nets in their game. Not that the Nets are anything special, but I watched a little bit of their stuff. They're playing a lot better basketball. But no, I would agree that I think in this situation, it's just like you get somebody and have guaranteed success, and you may have to give up some potential for the future. You can just do a full evaluation for the rest of the season. Hope everybody stays healthy. Things seem to be getting a little bit better right now. See what happens with Gary coming back in. I don't envy Steve at all with the decisions he's got to make, because it's not like you have a 12-man roster back in our day, 12-man roster, and the deepest they usually ever went was 8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now they got a 15-man roster and the G League two-way guys and stuff.
3 two-way guys.
They got so many guys that are really close in abilities that can do things. And so, in a way, it's good if you only had up to 10, maybe, like we had. I mean, we had 10 guys that could really do it, and we switched them and played them. It didn't matter. One guy, no, boom, another guy's in, boom, another guy's in. Same thing you could do with this team to the point, but they're so deep, it's beyond 10 as far as guys that can contribute and depending upon what's going on. So how do you find that right mix? It's like he's a chemist trying to play with all these different things and trying to get the right ingredients in there. And so I wish him well with that. I just want to see him turn around and start winning basketball.
And just to add on to what you said about those close games, they're 15-17 in what we call clutch games. A clutch is a stat they created where if it's a 5-point game with 5 minutes or less remaining, you're absolutely right. They've been close, and early in the season, they started 6-2. And soon after that stretch, they played the Nuggets in Denver, incredibly close in a game that sold me that this team has the talent. But I don't see the right players playing. And that's the part I think that frustrates me. As we mentioned earlier, those 3-point guards, we're seeing Corey Joseph getting minutes over, Trace Jackson Davis. I just, for some reason he doesn't like size. I don't get it. But yeah, Rick, I totally feel
he was a guard.
Say again?
I said he was a guard.
Yes, he was. I had someone said that to me recently you're right. There could be a bias there. Absolutely.
I'm trying to be a smart ass. That's all. I'm just messing around.
But you're the eternal optimist. I love it. I appreciate it. Rick, give some love to everyone who's taking care of you in life. Promote away, please, as you wrap it up.
Well, I mean, anybody just, go to GoSleeves.com, GoSleeves.com. You can spell that out. If you can't spell it, then, that's your problem. It's SLEEVES if you don't know. GoSleeves.com, right? AlloMD.com, AlloMD.com, Medicaleaf.com. That's another MEDICILEAF, MEDICILEAF.com. Those last two have cannabinoid products, no THC in it, whatever. And, some of you probably wish you had the THC in it, but there's no THC in it. And there you go. It's one of those things that I think you would find will work really well for you. And for all of them, the other one's a sleeve with kinesio tape built into it. Really cool sleeves. Everybody that I've gotten to use them comes up and say, Rick, thank you. These things are unbelievable. Runners are going nuts over it. Go to their websites, check them all out. And and then put the code, my initials, RB, small letters, RB24, my number. RB24 is the code to get in and get a special discount. I just saw a guy today that I said, oh, Rick, I just got the shoes. Thanks a lot. Hey, I saved a bunch of money, with the discount code and all. And the lady just got some of my pickleball lady that has 2 courts in her backyard. Love her. And 5 minutes from where I live. And it's awesome. And she just got some and she says, oh, Rick, thank you so much. These are so good. So anyway, try them out and, decide for yourself, but get a nice discount while you're doing it. We'll see what happens. I wish I could really have something to plug for to get anybody out there who owns companies. Oh man, that would be unbelievable. No, if they own,
let's mention the Rick Barry Show again. If you download the Mic'd Up app,
exactly on LinkedIn.
You can mention that. And again, the Warriors. Exactly. Download the Mic'd Up app. Rick and I host a program called the Rick Barry Show. That's on there if you want to join us live on the Rick Barry Show. People can upload voice recordings that we play. If you want to email video recordings for me to play on this show, I'm down for that. I was trying to think of ways to involve the audience. So if you email the program warriors24pod@gmail, 1 to 2 minute snippet, I'll get it on the show. Why not? I want to see your face and I want to hear your thoughts.
Reach out to Cyrus to me. If you own a company, if you got lots of employees, man, you need to get back to me. I got something for you. The best win-win-win situation I've ever seen. So
absolutely,
I'll leave it at that. I'm not selling anything. I'm just going to put you in touch with somebody else who can tell you.
Rick, I love you, sir. Always a pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.